सामान की तरसील का काम मुकम्मल किया जा रहा है। इंतखाबी जो पोलिंग स्टेशंस हैं वहाँ तक पहुँचाया जा रहा है। ऐसे में कहीं ताख़ीर है और कहीं पर ये सामान पहुँच चुका है। दीगर क्या सूरत हाल है ये भी जानेंगे। अपनी ट्रांसमिशन की जानिब आपको लिए जाते हैं जहाँ आपको ज्वाइन करेंगी एंकर पर्सन सिद्रा इकबाल और उनका पैनल।
Much Sadia for that introduction, and of course Pakistan is gearing up for election 2024. We are less than 24 hours away, but it's very interesting numbers have come by. According to sources, if you look at census of 2017, 42% of the voters that have crossed the age of 18 do not have their CNICs, and therefore we see this to be a very telling number. Let us take this to people that what exactly is going to be the expectation of the Pakistani people from this elections. There is of course it seems to be a battleground of hope versus anger versus people who are just being stubborn about things, who are there to back their candidates up. This is for the first time that there is a very unique phenomena happening in Pakistan. The candidates usually go out looking for their voters, but this time for a certain party, because the symbol is very unclear and all their candidates are actually contesting as independents, so the voters are chasing the candidates. This is very interesting to actually observe, but of course it will have some serious implications on the economy of Pakistan as well. Many say the biggest challenge for the incoming government will not be other factions, but the fact that this is perhaps the weakest point in the Pakistani economy. Will they have any magic tricks to turn the ship around? Let's find out. We have with us Bilal, who's been with us speaking about the various issues. We also are going to be joined in this segment by Mr. Ali Khizr. I welcome you both, gentlemen. Ali, your thing, magic tricks. What do you think is the expectation? How will this new government actually turn the ship around?
I think there is no magic wand, and there are no expectations from the people that there going to be any magic wand. In 2018, there was an election of hope. Many people voted for the first time and they voted for PTI in anticipation that PTI will perform and do better. But to their despair and to their, the PTI didn't really perform to the mark and all that. But now the people have the realization that the economy is in a very weak position, and the right of the people to vote are somehow being jeopardized, as many people who want to vote but their party is not there in a way, as you're saying, that the voters are chasing the candidate. So it's not, people are not expecting much to change. People are expecting things to remain fluid. So there are a couple of things which may have an impact in Pakistan. That's on the geopolitical front, how things would move up. Historically, Pakistan economy has spurred whenever we had geopolitical rents in 1950s, 60s, the Cold War era. Then in the 80s there was a case of Russian invasion in Afghan, and we supported Mujahideen over there. In 2000, the Musharraf time, those Mujahideen were turned into Taliban. Absolutely. And we went
Ali,
against
if
them.
I may draw from that, back in the 90s when again there was a spat and many term it to be the heirs of democracy in Pakistan, because back in the 90s Bibi and Nawaz Sharif had many rounds but none of them were able to complete their terms. There were the very familiar charges of corruption, and now since Pakistan is actually rejoicing at the fact that this will be the third time a democratically elected government will be formed. And yes, of course, the anomaly remains that no Prime Minister has been able to complete term, but at least the democratic setup does. The important thing over here to note is that not only are we at a very weak point in economy, many also contest, Bilal, that this is a point in time where Pakistan has no economic sovereignty. And this absence, no matter who forms the government, you have very little fiscal space to maneuver yourself. You'll end up having the same solutions, you'll have to go on and borrow more, you'll have to be focusing on development projects, and you'll have to be really working hard to get some FDI. So where does that leave the difference between the various political parties and their economic plan?
Okay, so I'm just going to simplify it in terms of being able to convey it. There isn't, like Ali said, there isn't a magic wand about the new government coming in and being able to fix anything. One of our biggest problems is that we have not addressed the basic issues yet. We're still at the basic issues. We're still talking about the same things that we were talking 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. Loss-making state-owned entities, circular debt, taxation base is low, these are all issues that should have been addressed a long time ago. Same thing for the new government, except this time around there's one minor difference that we are already enrolled in an IMF program, and I've pointed that out before. So there isn't any room anyway. Then we are all very united in this analysis that there will be a new IMF program soon enough as well. There isn't any room for any government anyway. Given that, let's just hope that the new government that comes in fixes the basic issues first, because this time, even last time, there was a little bit of a period in which there was no IMF program. They could have introduced populist policies. This time they haven't had that room either.
But they're making very populist promises to the people. Ali, what would you say about these promises? Will they have a tough time keyed into the first 100 days of a government? Will they have some surprises, some relief for the common man, or so is our understanding? Our economic relief only comes down to, will the petrol prices go down? Will the utility prices go down? Will there be a decrease in the prices of the food supplies? I mean, that's what the common man is concerned with.
I don't see those things happening, and that's the unfortunate part of it. As Bilal mentioned, that we have already enrolled into an IMF program. We're going to go into the new IMF program. And both the PPP and PMLN promise that they'll reduce the prices or keep free the electricity to common man. But what the plan the government is proposing, and which is going to be implemented by the new program, is to reduce the cross subsidies of common man on industries and people who domestic consumer who can afford. So when there will be less cross subsidy, which means common man electricity prices will increase, and then the industry prices probably would rationalize, and the rich man price would rationalize, and that would fuel
If you
more
remember
into
that then outgoing finance minister Shaukat would often quote that this is on purpose, this is something that we needed to do, and yes, we are actually going towards degrowth, or we are slowing down the growth, but that's part of the plan. Do you buy that?
Yeah, and we are going into a zero growth period. Last year there was a negative growth. This year there's going to be 2.5% growth, and we are running a zero current account deficit. It's not an optimal solution, but because we do not have any foreign exchange reserves, and we have mounted debt repayment going forward, so we have to run this zero current account policy for some time, which means we'll have to curtail the imports and will remain in the zero growth. This means the inflation may come down, inflation may taper down, the prices will remain elevated, but they not increase as they were increasing. The currency may not depreciate as they depreciate, but the employment opportunity and the growth opportunities of our businesses would come down.
And perhaps the purchase power is going to be further lost.
Absolutely.
Bilal, 3 months, or usually like a 90-day period is what an interim government has. This interim government had double the period, and we were told that they're trying to stabilize things, and they believe, I mean, I was at a variety of forums where the outgoing caretaker minister said, we've done our bit, we've created an ecosystem, which if the policy framework followed can bring us to better times. Do you believe they've done their deal in terms of policy shaping?
I mean, the number of months they were in Islamabad and the kind of situation they were in when they took over, I understand the steps they took. However, it wasn't their mandate anyway, and they weren't supposed to do what they eventually did. Now, it's very interesting for me to see the next 100 days, see what the new government does, see if the PIA privatization process actually goes ahead. They've borrowed a lot of money, the caretaker government, and I understand that at a time of high inflation they would need to do that. But just to add one thing to Ali's point, when you don't have growth, how are you expecting to generate more tax?